Welcome to the new episode of Go Vertical Unfiltered podcast, of the Go Vertical Unfiltered podcast. And today I want to talk a little bit about the deadlift. One of the, in my eyes, main exercises for every athlete to do, or I would even say for every human to do if he or she is working out. It is so crucial because due to our evolution, our rapid evolution in the past 100, 200 years, we developed a few habits that tend to weaken our backside, the hamstrings, the calves, and strengthen or overstrain our front side with the quadriceps, as well as the glutes also for the backside, because we are sitting way more than nature would want us to sit. So this is really a thing that is not working, because our body developed over millions of years, imagine that, and it took so long to build something like a foot, some muscle dynamics, that we are running upright. This took so long, and now we are completely breaking it up because our scientific evolution is just going so fast, and now we're having all sorts of things that we are just not used to. For example, the big amount of time we spend seated, we are not moving enough for our body, and this brings a lot of problems, obviously. When we sit, we are always on our glutes, and the muscles, because of the tension that is pretty much the same all the time, they tend to turn off, and we are starting to lose a little bit of, like, the nervous system is not quite happy with that, and the nerves that go through the glutes and through the legs, and like all the balance, like everything that comes from the I'm not even talking about the spine and our upper body posture that is also ruined by that. I'm just talking about the muscle, the neuromuscular system. This is getting really weird impulses because of that, and we have to work against this at some point and strengthen our backside. And now I want to tell you a story how I somehow learned that. As some of you might know, I was a lot into basketball when I was younger. At the age, I would say I trained a lot when I was like 16, 17, 18, 19, like at that age. And I must say, my weight training was very basic during that time. I did way more plyometrical workouts and way more stuff like, I had these jump soles, some people might know and remember these shoes, or not, you can't really tell these are shoes. These are more like, I don't even know how to explain. It's like a big chunk of plastic that you wrap around the front of your foot, which makes your heel not touching the ground, and you got like a lot of tension on your calves and on your jumping movements, and technically I don't think they help a lot with jumping, or at least you should not use them too often. Like, I don't really know. Like, no one is doing it anymore. It was like very special early 2000 thing. Between 2005 2010 they were like quite popular. And yeah. With that being said, like, my strength training was not a lot about powerlifting and Olympic lifting. It was just uncommon then. I even feel like a lot of people still don't do it, but like, for me, a lot of things have changed. But the deadlift was something I encountered quite late, and what I really hate is that in some basic training programs for track and field athletes, for example, the deadlift is like, you should not do them before you're not 18 years old. So I don't really know why, because I feel like it's very important. And probably some people think deadlift is equals that you need to use a lot of weight or something, but we'll talk about this in a second. This is absolutely not the case. The deadlift I did first was I had less than my body weight in my hands, and I would say my form was okay, but still, because of some wrong things I had with glute activation and also probably a little bit of not good enough hip mobility, I was really bad at it and I injured myself. I wouldn't say injured, but I got really like cramps and things like that, and I ruined it for me personally. That I didn't want to touch it for a few years, and probably this was one of my biggest problems when I was younger, to not implement the deadlift into training systems, because I did more squats. I did like awkward things like this leg press thing that is absolutely useless for athletes unless you are a powerlifter or something, or just some random fitness dude. Like for athletes, the leg press is just useless because you are in an absolutely unfunctional position and you are not really training for anything there. It doesn't make sense. But with a deadlift, you have a compound movement. You're using a lot, and I mean a lot of different muscles. You need to stay upright, your core is engaged, and you are training the backside of your legs, and it is important. A lot of people get injured there. Basketball players, track and field athletes, football players, soccer players, volleyball players, everyone. You are training a really important weak point with deadlifts. And the goal about the deadlift is a normal Romanian, some people call it Romanian deadlift with straight legs. It's not one thing. There is so much more you can do. There's like single leg deadlifts. You can do stuff like with one arm where you have to counterbalance your upper body. You can reach out, which is a great exercise for kids to learn the movement. You will always have some back extension, some movement that gives you a hip extension too, and it's just so important. So if you have a bad time thinking about the deadlift, incorporating it, or just you get used to your coach telling you shouldn't do it, it doesn't make any sense. Like with all the athletes I've seen, I have kids doing deadlifts, even sometimes with weight. Not a lot of weight, of course, but it works just great for them, and they develop a great balance between their muscles, and no injuries at all, nothing like that. Nothing happens as soon as they learn the movement correctly and execute it correctly, and as long as they do not let their egos get in their way, like I want to lift more. I always tell, we are not powerlifters, we don't want to move a lot of weight. We're just here to be better in our sport. And as soon as they get that,